In this video presentation, I'd like to demonstrate some of Fekete Harmony's powerful features for data manipulation and grouping. This can be very useful when you're dealing with databases with lots of well performance data and you want to organize according to attributes or do type well analysis. And for unconventional applications, Harmony is very well suited to manage the sheer number of data points and number of wells that we're interested in looking at. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look and focus in on the Marcellus field. We've got a database of lots of different plays and wells in here, and we're interested in particular in our Marcellus field. So what I'd like to do, there's enough wells in here that I'd like to organize the data and maybe do a type well analysis to take a look at what sort of production performance would be expected if I drill a new well. So I'm simply going to select all of these wells that are inside the Marcellus grouping. And I'm going to drag and drop them into a custom group. And I'm going to name that group Marcellus. And we can do an analysis on this well, or on this grouping. I'm going to do a type well analysis on this, and a gas type well. So we can see we've got all of our Marcellus data scatter plotted on this operated production rate versus normalized time graph. If we want to see the individual wells, we can display them here. Now as I hover over the individual well, we can see its performance on the right-hand side. The dark red line is the average well. And you can see as I remove well production from the list of wells here, the average well changes. So we have the capability to add wells back in and subtract wells for our type well analysis. When we look at this production, we see a fairly wide variety of initial production rates and decline rates. So what we might be interested in doing with this set of data is refining our search a little bit. Specifically, what I'm looking for is a type well that is representative of a new completion where I've got 5 fracture stages. So what I'm going to do to filter that down a little bit is we're going to go and select our list of wells again in the Marcellus. And we're going to go and take a look at the database of all the attribute data that's in there and try and narrow that down. And the way we can do that is with custom attributes. Custom attributes can be added to any database in Harmony, and I've created some here, and of interest are the number of fracture stages. So for all of my Marcellus wells, I've got number of fracture stages. I can organize these and now filter them. What I'm particularly interested in here are the 5 fracture stages. So I'm going to select all of those wells that have 5 stages of fracture, and I'm going to select a subset. So the subset is now active inside the hierarchy groups view. And now I can go into my custom groups, and let's collapse this one. And we'll create a new custom group. And the new custom group is going to be just of those well entities that have 5 fracture stages. So I'll rename that one 5 frac stages. And now let's conduct an analysis on this data set. So we'll do the same thing. We'll do a type well analysis. And now we have a much narrower range of well performance that's specifically suited for, let's say I'm going to go out and drill some new wells where I have 5 frac stages, and I want to see what the well performance is for those sorts of wells. To do a little bit better job of this, let's change the way we're plotting the data. So we'll go to the data sets, and I'm actually going to plot the normalized rate against cumulative production. So normalized rate against cumulative production will mean that everything starts from 1. And these peak rates are obviously higher than their initial production rates, so we can adjust for that in a minute. What I'm going to do is go to the Analysis Manager and create a decline curve. So let's go back to our data sets. And we're going to adjust everything to the peak rate. And now we have a decline curve that we can match the performance of this data. The next thing we're going to do is clearly the production data has dropped below the abandonment rate that's set in this decline analysis. So I'm going to change that. And we'll bring that down a lot lower. So currently it's set to 20. We're going to set it to 5. And that will have the forecast going out further. Now our decline curve at the moment isn't the right shape, so I'm going to actually extend that outwards, and I'm going to change the hyperbolic properties of this to try and match the average data. So you can see we've got a pretty good match of the average data, and that's now our type well. Now we want to make use of this type well for new locations, new drills, where we don't have performance data for yet. So what I'm going to do is take this decline curve and copy it to the clipboard. It's now sitting in the clipboard ready to be used for new wells. So I'll go back to my GIS and I'm going to create a new well location. So there's my new drill, my new well location. If I go over here, it's now an entity with an unknown location or an unknown field, and that's fine. I'll double click on it to do an analysis for this well. This well has no performance data, so I can't really analyze it, but I'll create a decline curve. There's no data there. I'm simply going to drag this across, show it on there, and that is now my type well. That's my decline curve for this new well. As I collect production data for this new well, I can now match it up against this curve and see if it fits.